Hello everyone, so today we are going to be talking about the failure of the Muzo noise cancelling speaker and why it failed and why I really wish if I had that speaker, only if it didn't fail and if it worked, where I had this in my dorm and sticked it across the wall to block out that annoying roommate noise, just that way I can relax. So I'm going to be talking about why the Muzo speaker failed, as you can see in this picture right here, and why it would have been good for me that I could have used it, so that I could have sticked it on the wall to block out that loud roommate's noise, if the Muzo speaker had worked. So here's what happened. So the Muzo speaker is a failed noise-canceling device because it promised a scientifically impossible feat at canceling complex open-air room noise from a single-point speaker, and ultimately only came out as a glorified white noise machine. So what happened was, it was a Kickstarter campaign that grew about to $500,000 that would create a personal zone of silence, which means when you turn the Muzo device on, it pretty much so like this. If you turn the Muzo device on, it will pretty much create a personal bubble of silence, as that was the original intent of the Muzo device. So if you're working on any school assignments, studying, or you're trying to sleep and you don't want any external noises to distract you, or any loud dorm roommates to distract you,
Are you worn out from all the hustle and bustle of everyday life? Sometimes all you want is just to have a rest. But it seems like you can't escape from all the noise surrounding you.
Then using a together and then set it.
How can we get some silence into our busy lives? Introducing Muzo, a revolutionary anti-vibration acoustic device. Muzo is the first device that applies anti-vibration technology for smooth surfaces. The dedicated neo-magnetic system is the soul of Muzo. Powered by Billion Sound technology, Muzo can generate dynamic, realistic sounds while canceling vibration. These vivid sounds set the scene and drown out intrusive noises. We designed Muzo to be streamlined and balanced. It allows Muzo to generate an even vibration towards the attached surface. With the TPE material, Muzo can be stuck and repositioned onto any surface. You can turn every area into your own personal place. Give Muzo a gentle touch and you will be able to feel the magic. A magic you never would have imagined coming out of a sound device. Just control Muzo with your smartphone, switch on the Serenity mode, and enjoy some relaxing time. Have there been times you were worried people around you could hear what you were saying? By switching to the secret mode, Muzo can help you to protect your speech privacy. Even when out in public, you can enjoy a great conversation without worrying about people eavesdropping. Even in a busy city, Muzo takes you on a journey far from the hardships of everyday life. Switch to sleep mode and set your personal sound field. Muzo will then minimize the disturbance and start to decorate your bedroom according to your preference. You can now truly enjoy a sweet night under your ideal environment. Escape from the world and set your mood. Muzo creates your own personal zone of silence.
you can turn on the Muzo speaker right here. And what the Muzo speaker would do pretty much, it would create a personalized bubble of silence to block out these external noises that you didn't want to hear. Unfortunately, it did not work at all. And the reason why the Muzo didn't work is because of physics, pretty much. So, because the core technology defied the laws of physics, where it could claim it could stick to a smooth surface like a window or a wall, and using a sensor to detect outside sound vibrations, and with a microphone to also detect sound as well. And then it uses an actuator to vibrate the walls in reverse to cancel out the noise, or the microphone would vibrate the sound in reverse, which how that works is just like in noise canceling headphones, where the vibration sensor in the microphones would detect the sound, and then the electronics would invert the phase of the audio to provide true silence, which turns out did not work. In reality, true active noise cancellation requires an inverse sound wave to meet the original sound wave at the exact location of your ear, while headphones can achieve this perfectly because they sit over your ear canal, and an in-ear device sitting across the room cannot. It also had an echo problem because sound bounces off of furniture and at infinite angles, and trying to cancel ambient noise for a whole room using a single distant vibrating suction cup is impossible. At best only work from one microscopic point in the room. If you move your head around even an inch, the sound would actually get louder. So, yeah, I know, right? So, this was pretty much just something as a simple Bluetooth speaker to block noise, and pretty much they misled the technology of blocking noise only by canceling noise with noise of just playing background noise, not just doing a physically impossible thing here in physics to make an entire room silent. Basically, when you stick this on a wall, it can like turn the wall into an anti-speaker where it pretty much creates silence instead of noise, pretty much of an anti-speaker idea, which is also kind of like an anti-flashlight idea that's also physically impossible, where you would turn on an anti-flashlight where it would actively cancels light in a room of negative polarity and photons to make a room darker, which is also physically impossible. So yeah, the Muzo speaker was physically impossible, and of course, inverted flashlights to make a room darker are also physically impossible. So yeah, the Muzo speaker right here has this complete failure, which, yeah, I know that device would have been very useful if it worked. If we had the true physics that this thing works, I could stick it on that annoying roommate's wall, and then that would turn the wall into an anti-speaker to create a personalized bubble of silence, pretty much, that does not exist in the real physical world. Only for this to happen, we would have to live in a parallel universe for that type of physics to happen, which unfortunately we do not. And then, of course, the Muzo speaker kind of works like noise-canceling headphones, pretty much, because in noise-canceling headphones, they are designed to reduce the sounds of when you're listening to headphones using active noise cancellation, where the electronics measure incoming environmental noise through the microphone and inverts the sound waves by 180 degrees. That plays the anti-noise. So pretty much the noise-canceling headphones have speakers that are like anti-speakers, but it only works in your ear and not through an entire room to cancel out noise. And so, yeah, that's how pretty much it works, pretty much, of noise canceling headphones. And noise canceling headphones are not very effective on canceling noise, pretty much, because they only work well with low frequency sounds, but not with high frequency sounds. The reason why it doesn't work with high frequency sounds is because the headphone chip cannot predict and invert the wave fast enough, pretty much. So it only works with low frequency sounds because the headphone chip can easily predict the waves of that sound and inverts the wave quick enough so that way when it's on your ears and it's on, you don't hear those sounds, and it cannot have perfect noise cancellation at all because sound travels through your bones and microphones have latency, and unpredictable waves cannot be perfectly inverted. And also complete silence also introduces unique safety hazards such as the inability to hear cars, emergency warning vehicles, emergency warnings, and other emergency notification sounds like smoke, fire alarms, and potentially other life-saving sounds to save your life, which can create auditory sensory deprivation, pretty much. So, yeah, that's why true noise-canceling headphones are impossible, and that they can create a safety hazard that you won't be able to hear car traffic noises, the horns they make, or any other alarm life safety sounds, pretty much. Then, of course, we have what's called a good sound that we use to use pretty much on how to relax, and that is white noise right here, which is a steady sound that combines all the frequencies that people can hear at the exact same volume right here. And so we all know that's how it works. There's like different curves of how white noise works, pretty much. But however, when you want to sleep and study, you use brown noise best. But there's a hidden way, a math equation that makes the brown noise work, pretty much. And that is what's called the 6 or 3 decibels per octave slope, which is an expression on how describes how fast the sound's volume decreases or increases every time the frequency doubles or cuts in half, pretty much. So, pretty much, if we take a look on how it actively works, for example, if you are wanting to make some brown noise that has a 6 decibel per octave curve, which is like a positive 6, pretty much. So, I think that's how it is. So yeah, white noise is 0 dB an octave, and then let's see. Okay, I think so. Let's say if it goes, the frequency and the sound goes from. Okay, actually, so here's how this works, pretty much. So pretty much how this works, the difference between plus 6 dB an octave versus minus 6 dB an octave, which is where plus 6 dB octave means that the sound pretty much gets sharper and more piercing, whereas minus 6 dB octave means it gets darker and more muffled, pretty much. So brown noise is minus 6 decibels an octave, pink noise is minus 3 decibels per octave, white noise is 0 decibels per octave, as white noise is flat, out even. And then blue noise is plus 3 decibels per octave, and then purple noise is plus 6 decibels per octave, pretty much. So that means whenever you want to study or sleep, you use a noise profile that has minus 6 decibels per octave, pretty much. So that way, if you see right here on this curve, you can see that on a minus 6 decibels per octave, which is in blue right here, you can see how the amplitude or the decibels, when it's played on your speakers, is the loudest all the way of the bass frequencies, whereas on the treble frequencies, it's quiet, pretty much. And then The inverse is in orange, which it works right here for how purple noise works pretty much. So yeah, that's how that works pretty much. And yeah, so this is the math that explains how it works. So let's say if we have how loud would noise be at 20 hertz if using the 6 decibels per octave if 20 kilohertz is 0 decibels. And so at 20 hertz, the noise level will be exactly 59 decibels away from the 20 kilohertz reference point. Depending on whether the volume rises or falls across the slope, it will either be plus 59.8 decibels or minus 59.8 decibels. So the math formula here is log base 2 of 20 over, log base 2, 20,000 over 20 equals 9.966. Then the total change is multiply the result, which is like the number of octaves you get from that, by 6 decibels to get the 59.8 decibels. Now, because different calculators have a way to change how the logarithm base works pretty much, and that is the change of base rule, we have to change the way how this base is written exactly. So instead of if you're putting this on like a calculator that doesn't allow you to have custom bases where you have the log and then any base you want, 2, 6, whatever, you instead just do the log and then 20,000 over 20 because logarithms on calculators are all base 10. So you would just have the logarithm as base 10 at the start right here, and then right at the end right here after 20,000 over 20, you would do divided by log, and then with a 2 in the parentheses to change the base to log over 2 exactly. And yeah, that's right. So pretty much you just have the logarithm as base 10, 20,000 over 20, which then results to 1,000. And then you have the divided by log, and then you put 2 into the parentheses in the calculator to change the base, and you'll get 9.966 pretty much. So let's see how I can write this out. So okay. And so yeah, that's how you would write this out pretty much in order to get a different change of base of that profile, noise profile. If you were typing this out in a calculator as a noise engineer, that you would use this pretty much. So yeah, because you have the log as the base 10, the 1,000 as your result, then divided by log base 10 over 2 pretty much to get that result right here, which yeah, the logarithms change of base rule can be kind of complicated when using different calculators that supports the logarithms, but yeah, I'm just getting this out just that way you have a simple idea of how it exactly works pretty much. Now also, by the way, if you were to have at the start right here, if you actually had the 6 times the logarithm right here, which I do like this, if I had that, it would give me 59.8 as that, but because this is just for how it works for 1 octave pretty much and not all of the octaves. If I didn't have the 6 in there, then that means if I just had it for like, just that way I have my total octaves, but not the results in the decibels, pretty much about, because without the 6 in there, because I know if I had that 6 in there, then that's the same as multiplying 9.966 octaves times 6 decibels to get that result, pretty much, if I were to add that multiplier at the start, the 6 times of that as my multiplier right there. So yeah, it works the same way, pretty much, but this just gives me the number of octaves as 9.966, and then if I times it by 6 decibels, it becomes 59.8 decibels, pretty much. So yeah, that's how that pretty much works of how brown noise works. So yeah, so that's pretty much the noise that we use to play to block out my loud and annoying roommate next door, so that way I can easily work or sleep, pretty much, just so that way I just don't get distracted by him whenever he talks loudly, talks on his phone, plays loud videos, pretty much, and because the thing with dorm walls and that they're really paper thin, where that allows noise to easily travel through, especially with voices and human speech that you can easily hear. That's why, exactly, to make sure I make the speech less recognizable, I turn on the brown noise, pretty much to jam the speech up, and or in other cases, if the speech is quiet, it just blocks it. So yeah, and yeah, I just pretty much play my brown noise to a comfortable volume level to where I'm not like hurting my ears if it's like turned up too loud, because yeah, people have blown out their eardrums or have hurt their ears for a long time by playing the brown noise too loud, which is always important to measure the decibels with a phone or a decibel meter. Make sure that you are less than 75 decibels that can potentially hurt your ears of brown noise when trying to relax, and also loud brown noises, other noises can cause a lot of stress. It can actually distract you from working because loud noise can release a lot of stress hormones in your brain. So that's why you do not want to make it loud. Do not do that, otherwise you could lose your hearing or not get the job done or not be able to sleep at all due to the stress hormones getting released from loud noises. So yeah, thank you everyone. Yeah, so that's my video about talking about brown noise that's used for relaxing, studying, and sleeping, and not the failure of the Muzo speaker. And that's why people today just use background noises instead of physically impossible speakers that can turn a wall into an anti-speaker to create a personalized bubble science. So yeah, so thank you everyone, and have a great day.